Come on, there we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jacob Hackett, your host of my South Jersey journey. My next guest is a friend of mine. I had him as a teacher for any of you that are watching this from ACIT for 3 years history. He's been there at least since I was a freshman, maybe a little more previous than that. He was the baseball coach at ACIT for many years. As a matter of fact, I just saw a memory pop up on Facebook this morning about that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome history teacher Mr. Gabe Staino.
Thanks for having me, Jacob.
Thank
Great
you.
seeing you and talking to you.
Yeah, great seeing you as well. So just we'll start back in the beginning of your career. So tell people, how'd you get started? Where'd you come from?
I mean, I moved around a lot around the area. I was born in Philadelphia, but kind of moved back and forth from New Jersey to Pennsylvania most of my life. Originally Pennsylvania, but then South Jersey. I lived like in Atlantic County until after 5th grade, then moved up to Chester County, Pennsylvania, like near Westchester, Kennett Square area, and went to high school there, and went to college in Pennsylvania, Shippensburg. Not many people have heard of it. Kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it was a good place, a fun time and whatnot. Then I kind of thought I was going to go to law school. Actually got into law school, but then decided last minute that I wasn't going to go, and just like worked in bars for a few years. And but then I went back to school. Actually went back to Stockton to get my teaching certificate. I was like 26, something like that, and then got a job in Pleasantville. And after a year there, I actually went to England. I went to East London and taught there for 2 years, and then came back and have been working at ACIT ever since. So yeah, this is my 10th year. Met my wife there. She's a guidance counselor there as well. And yeah, we just had our second kid 6 weeks ago. So we got a 3-year-old girl and a 6-week-old boy. And some of my fondest memories were with you in our class. We had a lot of fun.
Yes.
And great student, and you great personality and just fun loving. And I think those classes were unique. They were pretty small classes, and I think everyone learned from each other, including me learning from you guys. And it was really fun. I cherish those memories of those classes. And that interesting was like the media center, like that computer lab on the side there, basically.
Yeah.
Well, now it's a computer lab. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, many memories. And not to date myself a little, it's amazing how fast time flies, because I graduated in 17, and next year, if the class decides to have one, we will be talking a 5-year reunion. So it's just crazy to sit here and think that.
22 now, right?
Yeah, I just turned.
Yeah.
20.
That's it is amazing. Yeah, 5-year reunion, and then we'll actually be colleagues too.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Yeah. Working on the same school district.
Same school district. Yeah. It's funny. for those of you that watch the Faces for Autism telethon, you saw the interview that I did with Gabe and his father. And it's funny, I had one of my old aides on that I had during my shared time at Special Services. And he goes, I thank you so much for contacting me, but do you realize it's been 8 years since I spoke to you last? I said,
Whoa.
whoa,
Who
okay.
was that?
Thank you
Which
for,
which aide,
thank you
which aide
for,
was that?
he was, I don't know if you remember, but when Brian left halfway through, they,
Mm-hmm.
they put, they like put me with people at ACIT because I think they didn't want the overlap of special services coming over type of
Yeah.
thing. So he worked with me over at special services and he says to me, do you realize it's been 8 years? I said, no. I said,
Was
that,
that Terry? That wasn't Terry, was it?
well, he was, I did one with Terry. Yeah, but one was with him, and then I did another one. He was an aide just for special services with another kid who he picked me up because we were in the same room, and they didn't feel like, and they didn't want to put somebody in there just for the afternoons for me, which makes
Mm.
sense. I'm only there during
Yeah,
hours. It doesn't make sense to bring an aide in for last quarter of the year
for
hires.
sure. Yeah,
Doing,
your aides were great though. I mean, they always
oh
contributed to the
yeah,
class too.
I had
They were great.
terrific aides, yeah.
They were part of the class too, and were involved in all the discussions, had laughs with us. It was
Yeah,
fun. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we got into your where you came from. Just I guess tell people what it was like living in London because that's a
Yeah,
big city. Yeah.
it was fantastic. I love that city. It wasn't always easy. Just like any teaching job, especially. There are we speak the same language and similar cultures, but there are definitely differences in words and whatnot. And where I was teaching was East London, and in the poorest borough in the United Kingdom, the borough is Barking and Dagenham. I was teaching in Dagenham, and anyone, people from the UK know about Dagenham, but if you're a tourist going to London, it's not somewhere you're going to visit.
Oh,
It's out there. It's interesting. It's a very, very diverse community. There's a lot of great things going on there, but also, I mean, there's poverty for sure. And it right when I got there was 2008, and immediately right after I moved there is when the economy collapsed here and we went into the recession. And Dagenham in that area was, when the United States has economic problems, so does the rest of the world. There's a saying that when the U.S. economy sneezes, the rest of the world gets the flu. So as soon as our country went into a recession, so did many other countries, and it hit those areas very hard. Jobs were cut back, and there was a very high unemployment rates. So it was a tough time for people there, as it was here, of course. But um, you have a lot of recent immigrants in that community, and it so I had a lot of students from many different places, parts of Africa, the Middle East, East Asia, different places in Europe, because ever since the European Union opened up, I mean, there's been free movement throughout. Of course, now with Brexit, the UK is moving away from that, but it was fantastic. Kids definitely messed with me a lot, just being an American, like pretty young at the time. And there's a lot of different words for things and whatnot. So they had a lot of laughs at my expense. Um, like for instance, pants, that's underwear over there. So like they call pants like trousers. So I was just getting laughed at a lot. Like what? It was kind of like Cockney England, like the East End. Like, what are you doing here, Yank? All I all I want to know from you is what's Jay-Z's house like? You been there? Like that kind of thing.
Oh,
And
kind of.
yeah, it was hilarious. What's like a lot of funny questions. I heard McDonald's has. I heard that burgers are huge over there. Like it was funny, but they definitely mess with me a lot. Uh, but it was a really great experience. I lived in that community the first year, and then I moved, a couple miles away, but still taught at the same school the next year. But it was fantastic just exploring that city. I ended up coaching the debate team there, and the Model UN, and the debate. These kids were fantastic, and it was like a poor area, but these kids just had something, and they were so good and into it. And I mean, I really can't take credit for it, but they ended up in like the national debate finals, which was against all these really wealthy schools, and it was at the House of Parliament or the House of Lords at the Parliament, and I'm there just like this American, like they're handing me champagne glasses and in a tuxedo with like all these members of Parliament, and just it was unbelievable. And a couple of those kids, like first kids from Dagenham to ever get into Eton, that were on this debate team. Like I was just learning as I went. These kids were just unbelievable. And the guy that coached them the year before, he left the school. So I just kind of felt like I really can't take credit for them doing that well, but I got to be along there for the ride, and it was really amazing, which kind of led me to, I coached the mock trial team here at, and Mr. Tobias and I run debate club at ACIT. So it got me into that. And I think they're wonderful things for kids, building confidence and developing communication skills. And, just working in a team environment without, some kids aren't necessarily athletically inclined, but they can still compete in this. And it's really been a great thing. I've been doing the mock trial here for 8 years, and the kids at ACIT have been super successful. And it really something that I get a lot of enjoyment from. But yeah, England was amazing. Obviously I'm into history. There's a lot there, and I just loved walking around different neighborhoods. I like a lot of Dickens books, like Oliver Twist and whatnot. Just it was so great to just be able to walk in the neighborhoods where like Fagin's lair was in Oliver Twist, and kind of just retrace steps of different books, like Tale of Two Cities and stuff, and just walk around in the areas where these books were written and written about. It was wonderful. Just walking around in different neighborhoods, getting lost, and looking at little signs that denote different historical events and historical figures that have lived there before. I can't say enough about it. And then just easily being able to get over to Europe too, with a really cheap flight. I mean, it's the only. I love to travel, but I wouldn't have been able to visit all these different countries if I wasn't over there working. It's not like I was making a lot of money, but it was enough. I mean, I didn't save anything, but it was enough to get a cheap flight over to Europe, and then stay in hostels for $5 a night and just wear the same clothes for several days at a time. Yeah, it was kind of gross, but whatever, I was fine with it at the time. And just meeting different people along the way, it was fantastic. Going to play Eastern Europe, played Lithuania and Estonia, places like that. I started going to Eastern Europe a lot more as I stayed there longer, because I realized it was so cheap and it was fantastic to visit. And they really appreciate like American visitors being there. You learn a few words, you read about their country, like Lithuania, learn who the president is, learn the word for thank you and hello and cheers is important. But when they realize that you're American, because a lot of times everyone's interested in American culture, You know, like you have, you know, people wearing Yankees hats when they don't even know what baseball is, that kind of thing. Nikes, they listen to American music, they watch American movies, TV shows, but they don't think Americans really, um, you know, care about them. Um, so once it is amazing when once you show that you've, you know, you learn something about their culture and appreciate it, they become so appreciative of that. And then it just, you know how to say cheers, you're drinking our local drink, you're eating our local food, you know about our history, then they just open up and want to. I've had people just be like, ask me, well, what are your plans for today? Because I would travel by myself a lot, and I'd be like, well, I was going to visit the, like, no, we're going to show you the real Lithuania, you come with us. And then it really is amazing, because people are a little defensive because they don't, you know, they don't think Americans, because they know so much about America, but they don't think that we know or really care about their culture. But when you show a little bit of interest and that you put some time into it, it's amazing how people respond to it. That's why some people, when they travel, they wear, like Americans, even I've seen this over there, they'll put like Canadian patches just because they think that maybe people don't like Americans, so they'll act like they're Canadian. But that's kind of a shame to me, because then you're meeting people, you can't really develop a good relationship when your whole background's a lie right off the bat. And not to disparage Canada, it's a great country and everyone's really nice from that, but like, people don't care as much about Canada like around the world as they do about the United States. Like, it's not, um, you know, it's not the center of world culture or anything like that. So people, you know, they're a little bit defensive, but they want to talk to Americans. Even the people that kind of will say insulting things about America, just then like students will, you know, kind of make fun of me over there about being American, like, oh, Americans are the fattest people in the world, whatever, like whatever. The UK is the second fattest, but um, but then you ask them where they want to live, they're like, oh, New York or Miami or maybe LA, like that, you know, like it. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but it was a fantastic 2 years, and yeah, gotten to go back a few times with my wife too. She had never been, and she loves it too. So yeah, uh, I'm actually excited to go to. I got a grant to go to Ethiopia, but it's been put off for yeah, to study history and culture in Ethiopia. I've never been to Africa, but it's been put off because of the virus now 2 years. But I'll go in 2022, the summer, as long as there's almost a civil war breaking out now there. So hopefully,
Who
yeah,
knows when you'll be going there?
I know. And there's been a
Well,
lot of atrocities in the
you
north.
got
It's
you got COVID, then when COVID ends, you got a civil war.
yeah,
Civil War ends. Who the heck knows what'll happen? But you're right. England, excuse me, and Europe, they bring so much culture and education, and like I would like to travel, of course, when it's safe,
mm,
see what's in other countries for the United States, because the East Coast, DC, that's all I know. I want to see
yeah.
what else is there.
There's everywhere there's something different, and yeah, this country too, and not just internationally. There are so many amazing things to see, and that I still have to see. I still want to see for sure, and you'll get that opportunity soon enough. Hopefully, in another 6 months, maybe this thing will be over, and then just do it. Yeah,
God, God, I hope this thing will be over, because thank God for 2 Zoom meetings the last couple of weeks. I hadn't seen you in two
yeah,
two. It had been 2 years, because I haven't been at the Field of Dreams. Now this is scary, and this is why it seems so.
Yeah,
Since
it would almost be 2 years.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. Hmm.
night, when was
Yeah,
I?
it was probably the
That
summer of
June of
19, probably.
19, June of 19, because because
Hmm.
that was the last award I presented. Yeah, the last award I presented to the kids. It was my sister, my cousin, and then the other catcher. June of 19. That's
Hmm.
that seems so long ago.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
Long.
this 12 months ago seems forever.
Yeah, it's like we were really in this 12 months ago. It was like I went to school on a Wednesday. I remember this. I went to school on a Wednesday, left early, and then I never returned back in the building as a student at special services. Till then, I mean, I went back there to graduate, but I haven't seen anyone in the building. Like, I never
Yeah.
thought that my life as a student there would have ended as abruptly as it did.
Yeah, and that's the shame, especially yeah, for kids in their last year of school, last year, like and then also, yeah, I mean the kids in their last year, like we're at ACIT, the senior class last year, senior class this year, it's just, missing so many things, like just being able to spend time with each other towards the end of their high school career
Are
is
they getting anything? Because I was talking to somebody in the group, in one of the ACIT groups that I'm still in. Is anyone, are they doing anything for the kids?
they're trying, but it's mostly dependent on government guidelines. They started to wind it down where you only had to have 3 feet separation, and we are going to be meeting every day when we get back from spring recess. And they're really trying to get all the seniors back in, so maybe you can have they could just be there together and have more students in the classes, and maybe have a prom and something like a senior trip and that kind of thing. But then all of a sudden, because we've had a spike, they put the regulations back to 6 feet. So we were going to have all the kids in every day, at least the all in-person kids. Still have kids that are, a significant amount of kids that are all virtual, but they're really trying to get things as normal as possible for the senior class. But it's really dependent on government guidelines. Plus, some people just aren't comfortable being back in school, and their parents aren't comfortable with them being back in school. So, and that's totally understandable. So, just everything that possibly could be done for them. It's just an unfortunate situation, and different people. There's regulations, but also different people have different comfort levels about being around other people. So,
Yeah,
but I think hopefully, if a lot of people the next few months get vaccinated, and maybe younger and younger people get the vaccination, everyone will feel a bit more comfortable, and maybe it'll be somewhat normal by June. Maybe senior class can kind of get the last couple weeks at least. um I don't know how focused they'll be on schoolwork, but yeah, like it just to be around each other would
yeah,
be great.
yeah. Because one of my favorite events in Beth and Petoskey and Ragon have called me back
Mm,
after year for Red Hawk, and
yeah,
and
you're
I
a celebrity judge.
and yeah, I'm one of your celebrity judges that for the past four
Yeah.
years, and I've had fun with it. And I finally messaged Miss Ragon. I said, what's going on? Do you need me to judge? Are we judging virtually?
Yeah. Is she saying that they're going to try to get that done? Are they going to try to do that at the end of the year, maybe?
I, I would, I would go back and I would do it at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan is, but it would be nice. That's a really fun night for everybody. Mr. Red Hawk competition.
Uh,
Yeah, I've enjoyed that since it started.
uh,
It-
and I had a fellow judge sitting next to me. You're scoring too high. You're scoring too high. I said, it's my first year. I don't know how to score these kids.
yeah, plus it's my score, not yours. None of your business, Buster. That's what you tell him. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, stop rubbernecking me. Don't look at my score. Worry about your own score.
I'll move my computer far off the end of the table so you can't see what I'm
Yeah,
out.
I score how I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, you're scoring too low, homie.
You're scoring. I'm scoring the way I want to score. Thank you very much.
It's my prerogative,
Yeah.
Bobby Brown.
As Bobby Brown would say it.
Yeah.
We move on to tell people, and I know more about this than I thought I did. Your coaching career with the baseball team.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, once I started to have a family, kind of less and less time, but I missed that too. It was a lot of fun. Working with Coach Anthony, he was a good friend of mine. We still he's at Mainland now as a guidance counselor, but we still talk a lot. And actually, we were texting yesterday. We're gonna try to go golfing. But it was great because I played baseball in high school. I always loved the game, but it had been 18 years, 17 years really before since I'd thrown a ball, held a bat, anything like that. And it was just great being around the kids, great group of kids. I coached the assistant coach with the varsity for a little bit, and then I was the head coach for the JV. And it was awesome just being out there and enjoying baseball again, thinking baseball again, and just having to catch, throwing the ball, and teaching the game. It was great and it got me back into it. Now actually, I play in like an over 35 league. It kind of like brought it back, which is why I just had surgery on my shoulder in December, but because I'd like busted my arm thinking that I was whatever, like a teenager again, diving back to first base on a pickoff throw. But uh, yeah, I'm still gonna keep playing uh, when I can. But it was a lot of fun. And then just going to one of the most fun things every year was going to Field of Dreams and visiting you and the other players. Um, as a team, we would go once a year, but we'd try to get there a couple other times. And that was just a fantastic day. And a lot of times the players, like our school players, really didn't know what it was about going into it, but once they experienced it once, they looked forward to going back every other year. And it was a great time. It is a special place. And yeah, like I said, even my parents, they look forward to going there. And everyone that gets involved and just goes experience it and observes gets captivated by it. It is a really beautiful thing. It's a unique thing. And hopefully more and more people will become involved and experience it. Bring your kids, bring anyone. Like I said, I brought my parents. It is a really special, unique, wonderful place in Absecon that you guys have going there. And Jacob, you're like the mayor. Everyone knows Jacob there. It is, man, it is great. I can't wait to get back.
Every and as I like to say, and people such as yourself that have coached year after year after year, brought your teams down there, brought your parents down there, you know, it becomes as if, not as if, it becomes as it's like as an extended family because you've been there, you know what to do. I don't have to sit there and give my uh, explanation to the volunteers. And I just have to say, the years you coached, and I don't want to calling it my generation is wrong, but the kids the years that I went to school with, Chrissy, Dylan Whitmer, Matt O'Toole, I think they got a ton like that core group. I named three. There are others. They got a lot out of it and really enjoyed it. I'm not saying that the others in the later generations don't, but those three have said to me, asked me, can I come back and help? You have asked, others have asked, and of course, my answer is, of course you can. I'm not telling anybody no.
Yeah, you named three great young men.
Yeah.
O'Toole, Sieg, and Whitmer for sure. Yeah, I I think it was. I think those were special groups. I think it was a special time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know some of the players now. I don't coach anymore, but I know some of them. You know, the ones I've taught and whatnot. But uh, I don't even know who the coach is now. To be honest with you, the head coach. But I know Wolf is still a coach, and yeah, well, now I think he just returned, but I'm not sure who the head coach is.
'Cause,
Um,
uh,
but they've been pretty competitive, the teams, yeah. And when we started, it was right at the beginning of our sports program, so uh, they
who
did they had some big wins though against some good programs
they did.
that stand out. Yeah, some good athletes.
Because the coaches in your time period, the coaches that I remember are you, Mike Anthony, um, Mr. Eccles,
Oh yeah,
and
Morgan Wick,
yes, and
Unger.
younger, yes.
Yeah,
The time period that I remember during my youth.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with those guys. It
yeah,
was good.
yeah. The good old days, I like to say, but not that there aren't good times anymore. It's just
Mm,
those were the fun times, and now
for sure. I
yeah,
agree.
many memories with that core group. They always were willing to work. They said, "How can we help?" I said, "You go there, you go," and and people like that, like ACIT, like the baseball team, were groups that I look forward to putting together and seeing there because not everybody. Uh, they all certainly try. I'm not saying that, but some of them sometimes do not give uh, their their best effort. Putting
Yeah,
it nicely.
yeah, and that's a shame when that happens because if you do and if you really embrace it, that's when you're going to get the most out of it. And if you're in the moment, you just look around, and I mean, it's hard for me to understand how you couldn't embrace it and just appreciate that place and just put your all into it while you're there. There's really wonderful connections and just like pure joy and just goodness. Um, it's easy to get jaded, especially lately with everything that's going on, um, everything in the news, and this pandemic, of course. But that's a place where you can go where it's just everything's positive, and that's hard to find.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly in this day and age, as you said, with everything going on in the news, I don't think a single news reporter in God 15 years or more of interviews I've done, I don't think I have ever said anything negative about anyone that I work with over there. No, we're all about positivity. Here's what you do.
mhm,
This is who we are. And and for those of you that watched the Faces for Autism telethon that I just co-hosted, my co-host Lisa Sullivan, she told you the same thing that Gabe and I have said. If you go there, you will get a lot out of it. And that's why people like Gabe, people like Alyssa, and others that have worked with on several projects will tell you if you go there, you will get a lot out of it.
most definitely. I agree.
Yeah. So I'm going to circle back to your teaching career a second. So I should have asked this in between, but tell, like, how did you get back from, you went from US to England? Obviously, you probably missed your family members. That's why you came
Yeah.
back. So like tell people, was the transition hard going back from England to the United States?
No, not. I mean, not necessarily. Um, uh, I had to find a job when I got back, but yeah, I definitely. I mean, I missed my family when I was gone, but I got back for a couple weeks. In August when I was living there, and once during Christmas 1 year as well. But it, you know, I always knew it was going to be 2 years, pretty much. Um, so it seemed at the time it seems like a long time, but it's really not. And you know, when I interviewed for the job up in New York, I just decided on my way up, um, if they offer me something, I'm going to take it. I don't care where it is. Just it was a time that I could do that, where you know I wasn't married or anything like that, didn't have any kids, and I was only responsible for myself at the time. So it it I just went with it, and sometimes I think that's a good thing to do. But transitioning back, yeah, when I went, I was a little worried. What if something happens with someone in my family and I can't get back right away? But um, it's kind of speculative, and you think, well, maybe things will change and I'll miss out on some things. But really, I mean, I guess I was lucky, but I didn't, and it flew by. And it a lot of people have apprehensions. They might want to do something like that, but then they decide not to. But I would, if you can, you have the opportunity, or seek it out, and there are things that you could do, and just do it. I mean, I could have left after 1 year. I could have left after 6 months. If something came up, but nothing really changed in those 2 years. It was just a beautiful thing, and I'm glad I did it for sure. Transition wasn't that hard. But when I got back, I didn't have a job right away, so I ended up, I guess, subbing for most of that next year. Like, I think I got a couple long-term subbing jobs, and then got the job at ACIT the following year. And that's been a great place to work ever since. But the transition, except for, I mean, my wife says I still use some like British terms and whatnot, but still catch myself saying trousers or whatever, and like, or bin instead of the trash can, like that kind of thing. Or
Exactly.
but yeah, just little differences. And some people say that I like my I kind of have an accent for some words, but I don't believe it. I know some people that I knew a couple people from Canada that worked over there, and within 2 months they had like a British accent, and I was like, I don't know, it just seemed fake. But I didn't want to lose my American accent because I wasn't actively trying to hold on to it, but like it was just having the accent. People hear it, and it interests them. So like, they'll want to talk to you and whatnot, and see what, even if they're like trying to make fun of you, it's fun for me. I like banter. So yeah, but some people, it is strange. Some people are just susceptible to just adapt their accent to whatever they hear around them. It's weird. But
Yeah.
like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a totally different. It's like another world. Well, you're on the other side of the world, so it is different world.
Mm.
And yeah, you got to get used to things over there, and
Tell you what, the craziest thing was, one big adjustment was you relying completely on public transportation, trains and buses. And I never drove when I was over there. They drive on the left side of the road, and the steering wheel is on the right side of the car. I never did that until I went back with my wife a few years ago, and it was like a holiday weekend there, and the train ride. We were flying into London, but then going up to Wales for a few days. Conway, like at the top of Wales. So it was like a 5-hour drive or something like that. But the train prices were so expensive that it was actually cheaper to rent a car. And so I should have just paid the train because it was so stupid. Like, we got off the plane, picked up the car at Gatwick Airport in South London, and we're driving straight to Wales, like a long distance. And all the cars are stick there. It's not like automatic transmission. So I could drive stick, but I never did it. Like, now it's like, all right, I gotta stick with my left hand. And so that was something to get used to. So I got pulled over within 1 minute of leaving the car rental, like the airport. Woo, woo, woo. And then because I was like swerving and like going on, I went on to like the curb, basically kind of messed up the wheels on the car. But they didn't notice when I returned it, thank God. It would have cost like a lot of money. But the police officer was like, excuse me, that was some interesting driving you did there. And he's like, well, you've been drinking a little. And I was like, it's like 8 a.m. I was like, no, I'm American. I haven't driven on this side of the road before. And I can't, like, it was so hard to tell like how far things were over on that side. It was just weird. And my wife was actually, she was pregnant, but not that far along. But it was just stupid. Because then he's like, well, okay, where are you headed? Expecting me to say like London, which was like, half an hour away. And I'm like, Northern Wales. And he's like, oh, well, good luck. And then just like, so he let me off. But man, it was constant stress for like the next 5 hours, just not like hitting the side rail or whatever, because I could never tell how far. It was just weird. And then just constantly having focus, like, because when it's your left hand, it just, you have to recalibrate everything with the clutch, and it was just strange. It was stupid. I just shouldn't have done it. Like, but yeah, I rented a car when I was in Lithuania and when I was in Italy, but that was fine because I was in Sicily, because everywhere else in Europe, they all drive on the right side of the road and the steering wheel's on the left, but only Britain and Ireland, it's on the left, which I don't know why, but it just had to be different.
I guess so. They just have to be different. Okay. Last question. Since you're from ACIT, I'll have you ask it as, if you could give anyone up and coming student who would graduating from 8th grade, reasons why they should attend ACIT.
I mean, I really think it is a strong teaching staff. I think people really care. I think the kids really care about each other, and it's not as cliquey as other places. Certainly not as cliquey as my school was. And people are, they're open. They're just. It seems like they're just nice to each other. It's a very diverse population of students, in every way you can imagine. And I think you have kids coming from all over the county and people in different parts of this county. It's a very diverse county where, you have children that, grow up in urban populations, and you have like as country as it gets. And just coming from all kinds of different backgrounds. And I think that's a strength in our school. I think that the students learn from each other, and each other's experiences, each other's perspectives, as much as they learn from the teachers. And those are valuable lessons. And sometimes you really get that when you go to college, because most of the time the high school you go to is a very homogeneous population where everyone lives in very similar, geographically in a close area, and similar like economic, racial demographics and whatnot. But it's a different thing at ACIT, because you do have a lot of different people coming from a lot of different areas, a lot of different experiences, which is really one of the valuable things about going to college. But you have the opportunity to get that experience and learn from it at a younger age at ACIT. And I just, it is a community, and there's so many different things offered, and with so many, brilliant minds, especially in those academies, people that have, done it. And everyone, I think, is coming out of school with skills, which is not necessarily the case at most high schools. And there are some schools that really focus on certain areas, but not nearly as diverse and wide ranging, with as many years experience doing that in the vocational setting as ACIT. So it is, I think it's a great place to go. And, you might be lucky enough to have me as a history teacher too. So you got that going for you. And it is a special place. It's a great place to work. And I think most kids that choose to go there, it's not always an easy decision, because you're leaving, a good amount of the people that you grew up with, from your home high school. But I think an overwhelming majority of the kids that graduate from ACIT are glad that they did once they're gone. And maybe sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but I think there are very little regrets for students once they've gone through.
And I feel just as strongly as you do with that statement, because I feel that had I gone somewhere else, I don't know, I would have probably gotten a decent education. I just don't know how good would it have been, um, for myself, because my mom had told me, had you not gone to ACIT, you would have probably done your education in vocation and special services. Now, to me, for the vocational aspect, because I worked in the restaurant, that would have been phenomenal. But I think the education there, I know because everyone's on different educational levels. I'm glad I went to a regular high school, because
Mm.
I did some of the education there, and it was a little below my level, like like having you as a teacher and having like Senora Handel, like that's the stuff that's like real world that I don't know, would I have gotten it over there? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, you were like at the top of the class with our students. You always took care of your business too, and just contributed in a great way as well. But yeah, I can say that from our school, you've affected many of our students and teachers in a positive way, and you're still talked about. You're a legend.
And they say IT legend, even though I've been out of there for as long as I have, and it's nice that you all still ask me, can you come back and do something? Sure, I'll come back. That's fun. I'll tell this story. I went back to Judge Red Hawk. It wasn't this past year, it was the year before. Bunch of new security guards in there. Terry's the big boss now. And
Mhm.
these new security guards don't even know me. I don't even know them. You know where you're going? Yes, I do. I was a student here for 4 years. You don't have to tell me where I'm going. I know where I'm going.
You know who you're talking to, buddy?
Yeah, you know who you're talking to. I mean, I know where I'm going. I know that building hand and foot. I can still tell you where I'm going. People's room,
That's awesome.
people's rooms have probably moved, but like I know where.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is over. So